Football Friday, who you got? Graziano, Browns at Eagles, who you got?
Come on, the Eagles have to win this game. Like, they're coming off a bye. They're fully healthy. The receivers are back. The right tackle is back. The Browns have been horrendous. Eagles have to win this game.
So let's put the picks up on the screen. I mean, look, we're probably going to pick against the Browns we would pick against the Browns no matter who they were playing this week. So let's just live in a world. We just had a coach fired.
Yeah.
Let's live in a world where somehow the Eagles lose this game. I don't expect it to happen. Obviously, no one expects it to happen.
Boy.
But I have had a bunch of people say to me this week, if they lose this game, is it possible that we see another coach fired before the middle of October? Like this?
The optics of losing this game would be so awful.
So bad.
But I just can't see in week 6 you deciding that you want to get rid of a coach that took you to the Super Bowl just 2 years ago. I think he's earned the right to attempt to fix this throughout 2024.
I agree. I made those decisions before. You really want to do that in a bye week. They're coming off of the bye week. So if that was even on the radar, I think that would have been done, last week.
The Jets weren't on a bye week, and they made it.
The Monday night game. There's a little bit of
They had one extra day.
You have to ask yourself, who's going to be your head coach? Vic Fangio has head coaching experience.
Kellen Moore. I mean, we've heard his name mentioned. Infinitely likelier than Jeff Ulbrich.
I don't think it.
I can see
I'd be
the defense
surprised
playing at a high
this
level.
season.
Yeah, I can't see it. I mean,
okay, so we don't expect it, and we don't expect them to lose, so it's probably not going to wind up being a factor. Bartholomew, Cardinals at Packers. Who you got?
Listen, I got the Cardinals, man. I love how they're playing Jonathan Gannon. Listen, that guy right there, little pocket Hercules, this dude hit the deuces sign. He hit the deuces sign last week at the 40-yard line and took off. His ability to extend plays, Marvin Harris Jr. doing a great job. Trey McBride. Listen, this team should have beat the Buffalo Bills in week 1. They're much better than people who have given them credit for.
That's true.
I am believing in Pocket Hercules. He's matured, and Call of Duty ain't came out yet, so he ain't worried about his world rankings. He's totally locked in.
Here's the other thing. Jordan Love has got to stop throwing the ball to the other team.
Yes.
And Rex has been
Honestly, it's been the same thing since he wore that Brett Favre jersey to the game.
Yep.
Right? He wore that jersey to the game, and he started throwing it to the other teams. He don't care. And when you look at this play, and I love Jordan Love. That's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Right? That is not just below level quarterback play. That's below Jordan Love's level of quarterback play, of his intelligence. And he knows going forward, he has to protect the football. It's the most important thing to that team.
Well, one thing, he's a young quarterback, and this is the first week he's been fully healthy, fully practiced. So I think that'll make a big difference.
Yeah, I'm with all of that. Again, but Rex has been sort of beating it into my head on these Sunday mornings. Jordan Love will throw the ball into harm's way a lot. And since he started saying it, I've been paying more attention to it. And I've noticed, and I agree with Bart, the Cardinals people don't pay much attention to them. They're a better team than people think.
I think offensively, they're a much better team than people realize. I think defensively, there are still questions. Packers have maybe their whole wide receiver group back this week. Like, I think they're going to have too much for everything.
Romeo Doubs practice, he show up for everything? Everything right there?
That could be a distraction, though.
Yeah, but that's wild for a team to not have a guy come to work.
Steelers, Raiders, RC, this is a long-standing rivalry. Who you got?
Well, I have the Steelers, and here's what I want to see happen. At some point, Antonio Pierce should walk across the field to Mike Tomlin and ask him, okay, what do I have to do to get Russell Wilson while I give you Devonte Adams?
Man, come on.
That is the conversation that they should have at midfield. The Pittsburgh Steelers are a better team than the Las Vegas Raiders. The Pittsburgh Steelers should be saying to themselves, hey, this is another week for Justin Fields to start, Justin Fields to move forward. But more importantly, they have to go win this game in Las Vegas, and I believe they need to be dominant physically.
First of all, don't let RC get away with that. Don't be sliding to our girlfriend DMs, dog. Devonte Adams blown us.
I'm trying to put it in the world.
Blown us. Hey, man, stay away from my girl.
I mean, I see we all feel the same way here. If this thing does go sideways, I mean, are we living in a world where Russell Wilson is going to start a game for the Steelers?
If it goes sideways, yes.
Yeah, I think so. If they lose and Justin Fields doesn't play well, I said this early in the week, and this is true. Like, I was there last week, I was around that team and trying to be in touch with people there. I don't get the sense that they're eager to make a change. Yeah. However, there is an element of, we don't know what Mike Tomlin's going to want to do. And the offense, even if we're happy with how Justin Fields is progressing, it's 17, 18 points a game. Yeah. He may decide, I'd like to see it with the other guy. Now, I don't know what indication there is for anybody that it would be better with Russell Wilson. but it may be that Mike Tomlin decides he wants to see that.
To RC point, if it's Terry Bradshaw back there, their second leading receiver is Calvin Austin with 8 catches. They have to go get Devonte Adams.
Go get Christian Kirk. Stay away from my girl, man.
They should probably get them
See
both.
if they make a move. We'll continue making picks and looking at games as we go. Lions, Cowboys, what has you fired up for this game?
Will the Dallas Cowboys step up to the physicality of this Lions run game? We know what David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs can do when they have the football in their hands, and also the physicality of the Detroit Lions up front on the offensive line led by Penei Sewell. The Dallas Cowboys have been ran through at AT&T Stadium. Will they step up to the challenge this week?
That may be the glamour game of the weekend. Maybe the best game is Commanders-Ravens. Bart, what has you fired up in this one?
I'm fired up for the battle of the Beltway. Like I said, these teams, they'll party in the same places, you know what I'm saying? Some of the same girls. Winners get the chips. I tell you what, I know that the league sees Jay Daniels as Superman, but the Ravens see him as Clark Kent because the real Superman is on the other sideline. And listen, most teams don't have the advantage when they try and simulate who Jay Daniels is. That's just a Wednesday practice for the Ravens, baby. They see that offense every day of the week and twice on Sunday.
There's no bias there.
That was a response I wasn't anticipating. Graziano, Bills-Jets Monday night, what has you fired up?
Put up or shut up time for Aaron Rodgers, man. I mean, look, everything that's happened there this week, he has to start elevating the group around him. He has to deliver on this. We've got to be better. I've got to be better. The accountability thing everybody's been talking about. This is a game they got to win, especially after firing their head coach, making changes to the offensive play calling operation. This is all about Aaron Rodgers, has been for the last 2 years for the Jets. He needs a big game against Buffalo.
Yeah, but let's not even play the sound bites. I mean, we had Jeff Goldberg talking about Rodgers buying into whatever, or at least acknowledging and accepting the decision to demote his sidekick, Nathaniel Hackett, and you got Rodgers taking the blame on himself, which is the right thing to say. If there is one thing that has been noticeable to anyone who has seen that team play, the best example of the disconnect is Garrett Wilson. Anyone who watches football the last 2 years has said Garrett Wilson is on the verge of being a superstar. He has all the makings. And this year he has looked completely disconnected, discombobulated, whatever else the word is. You know that team better than anybody. What the actual heck has gone on with that? What's wrong with that offense, and how are they going to fix it starting this Monday, where I think it is not overstating it to say the season will depend on whether they come out and play big and totally differently on Monday.
The commitment to the run game, right? Because sometimes less
That's
is more.
what's going to solve Garrett Wilson?
Yes, because guess what happens? When you get a great player, sometimes you lean too much on a great player. But last year, they relied on each other. Like Breece Hall did not forget how to run the football, but you have to have a commitment for that. Sometimes we look for great players to bail us out. You've been around that. Whenever you lose a great player, you guys rally around each other. If Troy went down, the bottom didn't fall out.
It's one thing to say we need to run the ball more. They can't run the ball at all. What solves that problem?
What's crazy to me is that these two former Jets are saying, take the football out of Aaron Rodgers' hands helps Garrett Wilson. Taking the football out of Aaron Rodgers' hands helps the team. Bart actually talked about a team rallying around losing a Hall of Fame player in Troy Polamalu, and to kind of compare it to the Jets gaining a Hall of Fame player in Aaron Rodgers, who we want to take the football out of his hands because he's making the team worse. Think about that. Garrett Wilson, right? We say Garrett Wilson. If he has competent quarterback play, this kid is a superstar. This kid is a top 5 wide receiver. He's a top tier player. He's not that. I also know that Garrett Wilson was running butt, booty, wide, open at the end of this game. And all Aaron Rodgers got to do is put it on him. One of the best in the world when it's critical football moments, just make a play. I know the next play, he threw the football to Stephon Gilmore. He sure knew how to get it to him. And so what we're saying is that Aaron Rodgers, who is all of these things, who Greedy has built his entire last 2 off seasons around, ain't Aaron Rodgers. Or if he's Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Rodgers ain't that. And that's a problem, because when you say this is your organization, when you say you can miss minicamp if you want to, when you say you can bring in your coach, not only your coach, but the guy that you're a godfather to his children is in Randall Cobb. You're going to bring in Alan Lazard. We're going to give you all of these things to make life perfect for you, because if we make life perfect for you, we get the best you, and this is the best you. So much so, y'all saying take it out of his hands? Come on, bro. It's his fault. He's the reason this team is bad.
I love your passion, and that doesn't make you right. Because
Playing loud doesn't make you right.
Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City, they run the ball, and it's a commitment to the ball. Not because Patrick Mahomes couldn't kill teams by throwing the ball 52 times, but the Jets have become predictable. They become predictable, and they're worse in the league in play-action pass because you can't have play-action if you ain't got no action. You need the linebackers to step up.
Let me get Graziano in. I have a rebuttal, but let me hear it.
Kansas City, has the best offensive play caller, maybe ever.
And he calls runs.
Right, but he has free reign. So what I want to know is how much is the offense going to be allowed to change, right? You talk about Todd Downing when he had Derrick Henry in Tennessee. Of course he ran the ball. He had Derrick Henry. But he also didn't have a quarterback who had very specific demands about how things were supposed to run and how they weren't pre-snap. Look, if Aaron Rodgers is really going to buy in and let there be changes, great. Because right now he is not helping, he's not elevating them, but what's worse is if he is an obstacle, right? If they're not able to change on offense the way they need to because he only wants to play a certain way, then I don't think it works. So I'm fascinated to see how.
And if that calls for him to hand the ball off 50 times, I don't think you have any
right now, what's his legacy,
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about committing to handing it off. I'm talking about designing a more creative and deceptive run game than they have.
Well, you're talking shifts and motions, right? Which is something
but he doesn't like it.
Right, but I think he's open to anything.
Right.
Because he has to, because his legacy is more important.
I think it's exciting to see.
Ask me what his legacy is, right? I think his legacy is a great player that we look at his talent and say, if this guy is so great, like Kyrie Irving, why does this guy, if he's got this much talent, why does he only have one Super Bowl?
Right.
That's his legacy. He's a guy that you expect more when you look at the talent, one of the most talented quarterbacks in the history of football, but that doesn't always equate to the greatest winner in football. So he's trying to change that narrative, because if he's able to pull this off, it puts him up there even with Peyton Manning, or even a greater to Peyton Manning, because he lifted a worse organization than Peyton did.
Yeah, I don't think that's wrong. Right now, it's going so badly.
But
they just fired the coach 5 games into the season.
It goes bad like that sometimes.
Do you remember the first time we saw Peyton Manning in the Denver jersey? That night against the Ravens?
Yeah, I think it's
Do you remember that?
Touchdowns.
Attention Raiders fans. Rumors about a potential trade for our star receiver, Devonte Adams, are causing quite a stir around the NFL. According to Diana Rossini of The Athletic, the New York Jets are still in talks with the Las Vegas Raiders about a deal for Adams, and they aren't the only interested teams. The New Orleans Saints, Pittsburgh Steelers, and Buffalo Bills have also been in contact with the franchise. What do the Raiders want in return? A second-round pick, and for the team that acquires Adams to assume the remainder of his 2024 salary. The Jets, who have long shown interest, seem to be the closest to making this deal happen, especially now that they've fired their head coach, Robert Saleh. The reason behind this decision? Many point to Aaron Rodgers potentially influencing the team's decisions from the shadows, which wouldn't be surprising considering his past relationship with Adams on the Green Bay Packers. This potential Rodgers-Adams reunion would be a huge media coup for the Jets, who are desperate to improve their offense. Remember, Rodgers has failed to establish a good connection with his receivers so far this season, averaging just 218.6 yards per game and ranking 21st in QBR. Clearly, New York needs someone like Adams to turn things around. However, there are questions about whether Devonte Adams can really make a difference. He is currently dealing with a hamstring injury that has sidelined him for 3 straight weeks, and his production has not been the same since last season. In 2023, Adams averaged his fewest yards since 2017, and, this year, he has maintained a similar pace with just 209 yards in 3 games. Despite this, the Jets seem willing to bet big on Adams. They've already proven they're in championship or bust mode, and pleasing Rodgers has been a priority since his arrival. While giving up a second-round pick for a player who might be declining in performance is risky, for the Jets, sticking with their current roster seems like a recipe for failure. What do you think, Raiders fan? Should the Raiders let Adams go, or would it be a mistake to give up one of the league's best receivers? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on the latest Las Vegas Raiders news.